Okay, so data center, modular data centers, etc. We're fairly familiar with those, but am I right in thinking that Schneider has sort of taken that a bit further, or you're wanting to promote the fact that the powertrain, as we call it, that lends itself to modularity, and there are some advantages around that? Yeah.
Absolutely. The powertrain isn't something that's new to the market. It's established. It's been delivered in for a number of years now across data center delivery. There's two ways really you can deliver a power skid. One is through a modularization of the skid itself. So you put the low voltage, the medium voltage, the transformer, and the UPS all on a skid, and you roll it into a data center. Ideally, that's well suited to existing constructions. Where you have maybe a building that's been created for a different purpose, but you're able to utilise that space in a very different way through skid delivery. Yeah. The other solution is a prefabricated enclosure as such. So the enclosure is delivered to site with the skid inside of it, and you're able to deliver that outside of the data center and really maximise the internal space for the IT load.
Okay. And in terms of the advantages of that, I'm guessing that, as with the whole sort of prefab idea, building off-site has certain advantages. Presumably that's the same for the powertrain aspect? Absolutely. There's a number of efficiencies that this brings to the market. We've talked today about optimization, and if you think of the challenges that our market has today, our co-locators and data center operators, the faster that they can bring their data center to market, or the faster they can move to an operation level, the better it is for them. They start to monetize their data center at that point. The skid, the prefabricated approach to it, the powertrain approach to it, allows you to do that in a much quicker manner. So everything's manufactured off-site. It's put together off-site, type tested off-site, so the commissioning process is quicker, more efficient. There's an ability to be able to manage that and manage the delivery in a much cleaner way, because we can stock products off-site, again, bring them all together with that skill set in a very controlled environment. We manage labour, skills in a very different way from what you would do in a traditional stick build of a data centre. The other thing that's interesting around this, and people often kind of miss this output of a prefab or a skid-mounted solution. It offers huge benefit from a health and safety point of view. So not having to construct on site with all the dangers of a construction site offers huge value to the labour force and as such as well. So massive value from a health and safety point of view. Equally, there's a huge benefit that filters through from a sustainability side of things as well. So the waste that you have on a construction site is much more manageable in a contained environment, a controlled environment. So plastics, cardboard, even down to cable wastage can be recycled much easier in that controlled environment than what it can be on a construction site. In terms of the modularity, you probably offer some standard packages, but can you also make bespoke packages depending on people's power requirements?
We can. So there's a number of different routes to market for this. We can build ourselves, absolutely, or we can work with our partner network, which are very established out there, and the panel builders and the such like that. They're all building their own powertrains as well. Or if our end users and our co-locators have a preference around a specific supplier, we can work with those and try and pass on some of that knowledge and skill set we have to give them that optimization in the powertrain and the solution they're looking for. The greatest, and I keep coming back to optimization, because this is what we're all looking to do in this process. The greatest optimization comes when you can align your products and your solutions with the standard offers that are in the marketplace. The more you try and make something bespoke, you had lead time in it, you had engineering, design, and such like that. The more bespoke you can get, and transformers is a great example of this. If you can align your transformer sizing with the power utilities, they're much more readily available. You'll get something in 8 weeks as opposed to 12 weeks for a bespoke design transformer. And that's where you can really optimize, if you can align with the marketplace. If not, and if your market need doesn't allow you to do that, absolutely we can work with you to bespokely design something that's going to best suit. But where possible, if you can align with the market, that's where you're going to get the best output in terms of cost, speed, and route to market.
And I'm imagining these are finding applications in the larger facilities, but is it equally possible or probable that they can work in edge, much smaller edge facilities? Is the same sort of theory practical?
Absolutely. I mean, we think of we're talking skid mounts here, so it's very big data centers. Tends to be you'll be talking probably a megawatt type application. But you think of edge deployment. More and more now we're seeing micro DCs, so data centers in a box that are pre-configured, pre-wired, built off-site, and then shipped to a commercial building, for example, made to look like a cabinet. And it's got power in there, it's got your data capture, it's got air cooling and such like that. Everything that you tend to see in the higher scale solution, it's there from an edge application. More and more often, I take healthcare as a great example here. Healthcare have a established infrastructure in the UK. There's only so many hospitals that get built on a year-by-year basis, so it's established infrastructure that's in place there. If they want to upgrade their IT infrastructure, it's probably not going inside that hospital. They get far better use putting that in terms of beds for patients. The best way that they can deploy IT infrastructure is in a enclosure, modularized enclosure that they can drop outside of the hospital, connect into the IT infrastructure and use that as their data center. It's still exactly what they would have had previously, an upgrade on what they'd have had previously probably, but it's easier deployment, less disruptive, and allows them to repurpose space inside the data center, inside the hospital, for the reason that it was there for in the first place, patients.
Okay. We covered, I think, most of the angles. Is there anything else to say about the powertrain, the sort of modular, the skid mounts and stuff, or have we sort of looked at most angles?
I think we've covered most angles. What I would say is, don't look at it as a solution that's there for the future. It's here today. Our partners, ourselves, the market as a whole is ready for this. Ready for this deployment. We can use it quicker, better, faster in a lot more industry. It's just having the thought process to be able to step outside of traditionally how we do something and look at it in an alternative way. And in doing so, I'm fairly sure we can help improve standardization in the market, and then this globalized deployment of these solutions to say what works in the UK could work in Singapore. There'll be some variation, maybe it's 15-20% variation, but 80% of the solution will be exactly the same. And that cuts down engineering, design and everything else, and it allows the operators to start to standardize on the solution and operation.
And just finally, with those customers that you are engaging with, are you generally getting a good reception? They are understanding the benefits, or some of them still clinging on to their traditional sort of data center build mentality, or they're open to new ideas?
Very much open to new ideas. I think this is supported by not just ourselves in the market, but there's other players out there that are really pushing the powertrain solution. We work with a number of partners who are delivering this as well. So it's very much open to this modularization approach or skid-mounted approach. I think you think of data centers. I've always thought of data centers as these big sprawling campuses that single floors. That's a thing of the past now. We're going to start seeing data centers go upwards. So real estate's changing, or data center real estate's changing. It's going to start going upwards rather than out. And as it goes up, it really lends itself to a modularized approach. You pick a box, you stick it on top of it, and then stick another one on top of it there. It suits well for that, and I think we'll start to see that more. Maybe not in the UK to start off with, but globally, that process will start to come, and it'll filter through into the UK eventually as well.
And presumably, just to sort of finally, the sort of TCO, the cost benefits are sort of quite powerful, as well as you mentioned obviously health and safety, which I know is important, but dare I say it, people often react when you show them sort of pounds, shillings and pence savings. That's a big sort of incentive for folks, yeah?
So it is and it isn't. And I'm going to be cryptic in my answer here. Sure. So there's lots of studies around this. I've seen some studies that say your prefabricated solution or your skid-mounted solution will save you 10-15% on the data center. I've seen others that will say it's cost neutral. My general feeling is it's probably closer to the cost neutral piece, because you're transporting big units at the end of this, and there's more cost associated with it around that. The inherent benefit for me is really around the speed to operation. So if we can get a data center up and running in 20 weeks, 25 weeks instead of 50 weeks, the benefit to the customer is massive. From a co-locator's point of view, the interesting thing here is everyone's buying for the same business. The hyperscalers are the hyperscalers. Yeah? So the hyperscalers have so much business they want to place. If you can bring your data center to market in 25 weeks instead of 35 weeks, you've got a huge differentiator there against your competition. And that's the benefit. I think the benefit sits around differentiating yourself in the market and then monetizing your data center quicker.